सत्यमेव जयतेनानित्रम् उत्थिष्ठं जाग्रतप्राप्यवरान्नि बहुव्रत. Hi, welcome. It is 5:30 a.m. in the morning, and we are live this time with you with this episode number 21 to raise to you, praise to you, peace to you, the real Sanatana Dharma. It's a facts and it's a improvement as the ancient life of a human being. As today, this is the conclusion and recap series episode of the this series to know the real Sanatana Dharma. In this episode, we will come to the conclusion of the real Sanatana Dharma, how it will be affect a purity of your life, and what are the principles and disciplines you have to follow in your life to become a great pupil or great human being on the universe and respect all the creature and creeds of the universe which has been created by that supreme almighty. In this series we have covered most of the principles which has been performed by the old people and ancient people to fulfill their lives as per the ancient principles which has mentioned in the Veda, Purana, Gita, and the Ramayana and other manuscripts, etc. In this series, we have discussed three different parts, and in those three parts, we must have learned the basic Hindu religion ideas, how that religion come to in existence. There is one supreme power. We have discussed that in this series, and that are many forms, and we praise them according to the trusted or to the beliefs of our heart is to that one supreme power. And the next is was there is the rebirth concept of rebirth and how we get one generation to another generation through the rebirth, and there are the 10 avatara of the supreme power. And then we mentioned and learn about the karma, what is exactly and how it impact our lives and our working in our future for the next. Then there we have discussed before the sacrifices. What are the sacrifices we have to perform in the relation to the different creature on the universe? Then finally, the word what is exactly the visible and invisible. We discussed in this whole series three type of words is available which we can see, which are visible and invisible. Then in the part number second, we discuss about the general Hindu religious customs and rites, the sanskaras, the shraddhas, the saucham, the five daily sacrifices made or done or performed by human beings, then the pattern of worship and how it will impact your life and how it will make you peaceful, that we have covered in this series. The four ashramas, the varnas, how that come in existence as per their duties and their actions. The four castes, how it come in the existence as per their actions and the people who perform their duties. That was the part we have covered in the schedule 2 of this most of this manuscript of the century old manuscript and this series. Then the part number third, we have covered the ethical teachings. What is ethically people should learn the ethical science and what is it, and then the foundation of ethics as given by the religion, the principle of human life on the universe. Then what is right and wrong, how you can decide that, and then the standards of ethics, what are the principles of the standard you have to maintain and how it will impact your living on the universe, and it will be praised to the almighty, the virtues and their foundation. Then the bliss and emotions, how your blisses and your emotions impact your lives and your surrounding, and how you have to coordinate, collaborate with the other human beings and the creatures of the universe. Then self-regarding virtues, why people should have respect their own virtues and regard their self. Then virtues and vices in relation to the superior, the virtue and vices in relation to the equals, and the virtues and vices in relation to the inferior, the reaction of virtue and vices on others or each others. Why should people respect their near and dear, and how the principle impacted in their whole life, so that we have teaches these principles to you. Let's have a recap all these virtues principles we have mentioned in whole of this series, that is like as the Sanatana Dharma is the basic Hindu religion ideas, but it is not exactly the religion. This is the concept of human being living on their lifestyle on the universe, and that will impact your life all whole. It was started with the Om Mangalam Dishantu No Vinayaka Mangalam Dishantu Na Saraswati Mangalam Dishantu Na Samundracha Mangalam Dishtu No Maheshwari. Sanatana Dharma means the eternal religion, the ancient law, and it is based on the Vedas, sacred books given to men by long ages ago. This religion has also been called the Aryan religion because it is the religion that was given to the first nation of the Aryan race. Aryan is the noble, and the name was given to a great race, much finer in character and appearance than the races which went before. It is the world history. The first family of these people settled in the northern part of the land now called India, and that part in which they first settled was named the Aryabhata because these Aryans lived in it. That's why the land called Aryabhata. And then we have also known about the foundation is called the Shruti that which has been heard. The words are called Smriti, Smriti that which has been remembered. So to think we have been teach to you, we have taught to you, we have raised to preach with you the foundation how this religion or the principle of human living come to in the existence. There was the Shrutis which was heard, which was told by the sages and the spiritual people, and then when you remember it, it comes the Samritis. So it was based on the Shruti and the Samritis, two foundations and the principle of foundation. The Shruti has been given through very wise men who heard it and received it from Devas. This sacred teaching was not written down till comparatively modern time but were learned by heart and constantly repeated. Then the Shruti consists of the Chaturveda, the four Vedas. Vedas mean knowledge that which is known, and the knowledge which is the foundation of religion is given to man in the four Vedas. They are Rigveda, Samaveda, Yajurveda, and Atharvaveda. Each Veda is divided into three parts. What are those parts? That was the mantras, Sahita, collection, then Brahmanam and Upanishad. These are the three parts where the Vedas has divided. First are the mantras, the Sahitas, Samhitas collections, then Brahmanam and Upanishad. The mantra portion consists of the mantras or the sentences in which the order or sound has a particular power produce certain effects. These are in the form of hymn to the devas whose relation to men we shall study presently, and when they are properly chanted by properly instructed person, certain results follow. These are used in religious ceremonies as the value of the ceremony depends chiefly and clearly upon their purport. proper repetition. The Brahmana portion of the Veda consists of the direction about ritual and explains how to perform the ceremonies in which were used the mantras given in the first part and further story connected with them. Upanishad portion consists of the deep philosophical teaching on the nature of Brahman, on the supreme and the separate self, on man and the universe, on bondage and liberation. It is the foundation of all philosophy, and when you are men, you may study it and delight in it. Only highly educated men can study it. It is too difficult for others. There was a fourth part of the Vedas in the ancient days, sometimes called the Upaved or the Tantram. This considered of science and of the practical instructions based on the science, but very little of the true ancient Tantra remains, as the rishis took them away as unsuitable for the times in which people were less spiritual. Some tantrika form of ritual are, however, used in worship along with or instead of the current Vedic forms. The sacred books now contained extant under the name of Tantra are generally not regarded as part of Veda. That which is found in the Shruti is of supreme authority and is accepted by every faithful follower of the Sanatana Dharma as final. All the philosophical system appeal to the Shruti as the final authority determining every dispute. Samriti or Dharma Shastra is founded on and stands next in the authority to the Shruti and consists of four great works written by sages, the chief contents of which are laws and regulations for the carrying on a individual, family, social, and national life. Hindu society is founded on and governed by these laws. They are Manusamriti, Manav Dharmam Shastra, Manusamriti or the Manav Dharmam Shastra, the Institute of Manu. Then it was Yojana Valakaya Samriti, and then Shankha Likritha Samriti, and Parshurama Samriti, and Prashva Samriti. The first of these in the chief compendium of the Aryan law, Manu began the great lawgiver of the race. Hindu chronology divided the history of a word into seven great periods and cycle of the time, each of which is begun and is ended by a Manu and is therefore called the Manu Manvatra, Manu Antra between two Manus. As there are two Manus for each Manvatra, that shows that we are in the fourth Manvatra under the rule of the seventh Manvatra, who is the next. Shaloka tells us the son of Vivasat, Vivasavat. Some of his laws are handed down in the Manu Samriti. The Yojana Vakalya Samriti follows the same general lines as the Manu Samriti and is next in the importance to it. The other two are not now much studied or referred to except in some parts of the southern India, while the Shruti and the Samriti are the foundation and the walls of the Sanatana Dharma. There are two other important supports like Bhadanas, the Purana and the Itihasam, the history. The Puranas consist of the histories and stories and allegories composed for the uses of the less learned part of the nation, especially for those who could not study the Vedas. They are very interesting to read and are full of information of all kinds. Some of the allegories are difficult to understand and require the help of teachers. The Itihasa comprises two great poems and two great depictive books that are the Ramayana, the history of Sri Ramachandra, the son of Dashratha, and of his wife Sita and his brother, are most interesting and delighted story, as you all know. And the second is the Mahabharata, the history of the Kurus, a royal family of northern India which split into two parties, the Kurus and the Pandavas, between whom a great war broke out. It contained an immense number of beautiful stories, noble moral teachings, and useful lessons of all kinds. These two books and the sacred books, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, tell us most of what we know about ancient India, about her people and customs and her ways of living and her art and her scriptures. If you read these, you will learn how great India once was, and you will also learn how you must behave to make her great once more. Then the science and philosophy of Sanatana Dharma, how it is exactly exist in the human race earlier than ancient era. Shruti and Samriti, the Puranas and Itihasa make the edifice of Hindu religion. We find that the religion itself has given rise to the splendid literature of science and philosophy. The science were divided into Shadagani, means the six Angas, literary limbs, and these six limbs are branches comprises what would now be called the secular knowledge. In the old days, religious and secular knowledges were not divided. They included grammar, philosophy, astrology, poetry, together with the 64 sciences and arts and the method by which study should be carried on so that anyone who mastered the six angas was a man of very varied and deep learning. The philosophy also had a sixth division, the Darshanani, the sixth Darshana, or the ways of seeing things, usually called the sixth system. They all have one object, the putting an end to pain by enabling the separated human selves to reunite with the Supreme Self, and they all have one method, the development of the Jnanam wisdom, the way employed are different to suit the different mental constitutions of men, so that they are like six different roads all leading to one town. As to what is contained in the sixth system of the philosophy, it will be enough for a pupil to or a human being to know this. The Naina and the Vaishiksa arranged all the things of the world into a certain number of kinds, then point out that a man knows all things by means of his senses or by inference and analogy or by testimony of other wise and experienced. The Shakya explained in more detail and in new ways the nature of Purusha, spirit, and of Prakriti, matter, and the relation of each to the other. Then we captured the all that one existence, how the real one exists in the universe. There is one infinite, eternal, changeless existence, the all, from that all come forth, to that all return, only one without a second. That includes within itself all that ever has been, is, and can be, as a wave rises in the ocean, a universe rises in the all, as the wave sink again into the ocean and the universe sinks again into the all. So that is the existence of that one. So there was what the whole of them is not matter, unaudible, invisible, unsmellable, untastable, intangible. The spirit is in each as ansham, a portion of Ishvara. We call the matter part a shariram, the body, or the kosham, the seed, and an upadhi, the upadhi vehicle, that which embodies, clothes, or carries the spirit. Thus, Ishvara is in everything, and it is He who gives life to all things. He is Atma, the self, the immortal and inner ruler dwelling in all objects, and there is nothing that can exist apart from him. An Amshaha of him is a body of matter is called a jiva, and a jivatma is separated self. Then we discuss about jada, the jadam without consciousness, and it is also the tendency to the constantly divided itself into many forms and to become many. A portion of mine own self transformed in the world of life into a immortal spirit dwelt around itself, the senses of which the mind is that sixth veiled in metal. This is inferior, new, no my other Prakriti, the higher the life element, O mighty armed by which the universe is upheld. सत्यम रजसुतम इति गुण प्रकृति संभवा निभृंसति निबद्धनं नन्दति महाबाह देहे देहिन् वयं मनम् Sattva Rajatam these are the gunas born of Prakriti. They bind fast into the body. Two great armed one, the indestructible devil in the body. Then we discuss about the many, how it exists in the many forms which are known, and the three Murti, the Brahma, and how that exists, a literary and egg of the Brahma, a universe or orderly system of the world, the aspect of Ishvara in which he creates the world is named Brahma. Brahma is the creator aspect of Ishvara in which he presents, takes care of, and maintains the world in is named Vishnu. Vishnu is the preserver. The aspect of Ishvara in which he dissolved the world when they are born out and of no further use is named Shiva or Mahadeva. Shiva is the dissolver of the world. So there is the three form, many, the dissolver as Shiva, then the preserver as Vishnu, and the creator as Brahma. So three main themes and principles are in this religion who create the universe, that the Brahma, Vishnu, and the Mahesha, the Shiva, Mahadeva. His three aspects as or faces, the ones the Saguna Brahman or the Supreme Ishvara appears as three. Brahma, the creator, shapes matter into the seven Tattvani, the element as they have been called. Different name are given to the first two. We many use the name Mahat Buddhi, pure reason, and ahagara, egoism, the principle of separation, breaking up matter into tiny particles called atoms. Then come to the remaining five tattvas, akasha, ethra, vayu, air, agni, fire, apna, water, prithvi, earth. This is called the creation of the Bhutadi element. And out of these, all things are partially made. There is more of the tamaguna than of the rajaguna and the sattva showing itself in these elements, and so the things composed chiefly of them are dull and inert. The inner life, the jiva, cannot show its power, for the coat of metal is so thick and heavy. Then we talked and we teach you about the six indriyas, the six senses. First five are spoken of, and the 11th, when the 10 are taken because it draws into itself and arranged and thinks over all the sensation collected by the indriyas from the outer world. There is more of sattva than of tamaguna and rajaguna showing itself in these deities and manas. Then it called the sansara, and it is compared to a wheel consistently turning on which all jivas are bound. Thus, Brahma completed his share of the great task of a universe, but the forms needed to be clothed in physical matter to be made active. Being this was the work of Vishnu, the all Prevader, the maintainer and preserver of the world, he breathed his life into all these forms, and as Purana says, become Purana in become Prana in all forms, and gave them consciousness. Then all the Brahmanda become full of life and consciousness. But even this was not enough. Then man come upon the sense two aspect of Ishvara had given their life, but the third aspect remained the one who dissolve forms and thus liberate the jivas, calling them to union and bliss. The life of Mahadeva must be powered out to complete the triple jiva of the man, that he might be the perfect reflection of the triple Ishvara. This was done, and the human jiva began his long evolution, having already passed. Then we talked about the 10 avatara of his avatara are regarded as more important than the others and often spoken of as the 10 avatara. Then one of the Matsya, the fish, Vaivasthamanu once saw a little fish gasping for water and put it into a bowl. It grows, and he placed it in a larger pot, then again in a larger, and then in tank, a pond, a river, the sea, and ever the fish grew and filled its perceptible. Then the Manu knew that this fish was connected with his own life work, and when the time came for him to save the needs of life from a great flood, he entered a ship with the rishis, and the necessary life sealed. Two great fish appeared and drew the vessel through the world where lay the Manu's work. With the coming of the fish began to great evolution and animal life in the world. The second avatara is the Kurma, the tortoise. Kurma the tortoise, as a turtle, Vishnu supported the whirling mountain which churned the great sea of metal. Then the third avatara is the Bhara, the bull. The earth was sunk below the water, and Vishnu raised it up, giving in the war the type of great mammalian kingdom which was to flourish on the dry land. Then the fourth avatara, the Narsimha, the main line, this was the avatara that come to free the earth from the tyranny of the Daityas into this race of child. Prahalada was born, who from earliest childhood was devoted to Vishnu despite the threats and the cruelties of his dead father. Then the next Asara fifth, the Vamana, the dwarf, at that at last he came as man to aid the evolution of the human race and gained from Bali the right to all he could cover. The sixth Avtara is the Parshurama, Rama of the Axis. Parshurama, Ram of the Axis. This Avtara come to punish such of the Kshatriyas as were oppressing the people and to teach bad rules, the danger of using power to tyrannies instead of help. Then the Avtara is Rama, and the next Avtara, the Krishna, the manifestation of divine love and wisdom. Then the Buddha, the gentle prince who gave up a throne and luxury to become a traveling medicant or medicant teacher of the truth. He is known as the Shakyamuni, as Gautam, as Siddhartha, as is the founder of a mighty faith followed by millions of the human race. In him, Vishnu teaches vast multitude of non-Aryans people. Then the Kalki, the Avatara, who shall close the Kali Yuga, and whose coming is yet in the future. When he comes, the Satyuga will return to earth, a new cycle will begin. Indira, Mithira, Varunu, Agni, they call him, and he is the radiant, golden, feathered Garutham of him who is one six feet as manifold. They call him Agni, Yama, and Matrishiva. Then we talked about the rebirth, the evolution spoken of in the last chapter is carried on by the jiva passing from body to body. The body is improving as his power unfold. This is called rebirth, reincarnation or transmigration. The word reincarnation mean literally talking flesh again, coming again into a physical body. The word transmigrations mean passing from one place to another, passing into a new body. Either word can be used equally well. Let us see what is the process described by these words. The jiva we have seen is a portion of Brahman, a portion of myself. A jiva says Shri Krishna, he contains the power of Brahman, is the Brahman, thou art that the Shruti teaches. But yet there is a different in space and time as the seed is different from the tree. Then we have taught you about the after the cremation, what happened and completed the jiva become a preta. How it become, what is the science behind that becoming Atma as a Preta. Then in the next, Shaucham, what is the Shaucham? Or Shaucham consists of the rules laid down for keeping bodily purity and thus ensuring physical health and strength, and how you have to clean your body and how it is required to maintain a health and strengthen in the body. Diseases is a sign that some law of nature has been disregarded, and the rishis, knowing that the laws of nature are the laws of God, the expression of his being, and the jiva is a portion of God, evolved in matter, have treated embodied to the laws of nature as a religious duty. Then B approaches with the gratification. She says Shri Krishna, worship of the devas, the twice born, the gurus and the boys, and the wise purity, straightforwardness, chastity, and harmlessness are called the austerity of the body. Youth is the time for conquering the body, for it is then most easily subdued and set in the right way, thought the body is a creature of a habit, and though at first it will oppose the will of the Jivatma with great energy, a little perseverance make it give way, and then it goes as contentedly as readily along the new road as it did along the old. Then in the next paraphrasing, we taught you about the loyalty to the head of the state is equally insisted on the Shastras. Shastras not only by direct command but by example. When Yudhishthira is king in Indraprastha and his four brothers go out to war, they bring to his feet all the wealth they gained. They found for their king, not for themselves. So when Yudhishthira was exiled after the gambling match, and the people came out to follow him, leaving their allegiance to the Dhritarashtra, the loyal prince bade them return to Hastinapura and obey their proper ruler, since only thus could they secure the general prosperity. Then we taught with you the ten Upadhyayas. Though the acharya exceed and 100 acharyas, the father, but the mother exceeds even 1,000 fathers in the right to be honored.